So, okay, let's start off with, of course, we all know that your Uncle D, the attorney, and
Mhm.
you always say this in your lives. I know I've been absent so many times in your lives. I do apologize. I was just doing so many things. But my first question is that you always say that you advocate for Black men, right? And I heard you, and I've seen all the live chats that we suffered for what 50, 55 years already. That's what I see. That's what I hear. So please do enlighten us, Uncle D. Why do you advocate for Black men, and what triggered you to do that? Aside from, of course, you being a Black man.
Well, um, at in around 2010, I went through a terrible divorce. And it was the first time I'd been separated from my children, and it caused me great pause because I realized that the dream that I was promised, which was the American dream, wasn't all it was cracked up to be. What do I mean by that? It's a great country. I love my country. I love my fellow countrymen. But I think a lot of American men realize that, for the most part, we don't receive the respect that we should receive for help building this country. Now, that's generally speaking for all men in the United States. And all men have a story. The problem is that black men, for the most part, have been forced to be uh, the mules, the work mules, the workhorses here in the United States, and left without a voice. So around 2010, dealing with my own situation, with my divorce and the separation from my children, I, like many other men, I took to social media, at the time Facebook, and I began to voice my opinion. And what I found was that there were a lot of other men who felt the same way that I feel. And the reason I know is because I read the comment section. I interacted with them. I responded to them. Now, of course, as you can imagine, I got a lot of pushback because the lovely ladies, as I like to call them, do not want to take any criticism. And, being an African American, a black person here in the United States, the majority of my following and friends were African American men and women. Nevertheless, some years went by. I began living my life again. Um, because I'm an attorney, I was able to rebound from a divorce, deal with the child support. I had money for lawyers. I did what I had to do, and things got better. It got to the point that I realized that, well, now that I'm only seeing my kids a few weekends out of the month, I can start traveling. One of the first places I traveled was the Dominican Republic. And for the most part, I got hooked. I love it. I began to speak Spanish. I like the food. I just, it's like my own personal rest haven. I would go down there after, months of hard work. And this is when I was a lot younger. So I would work from, 8 a.m. in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, pretty much every day. And that's pretty much how I conducted my business. So at the point where I was able to get away and go overseas, it was just there was no cell phone coverage at the time. And I just had a great time, and I enjoy the people, the food, and I blended in. Nevertheless, around about 2016, I'd gotten so comfortable I would stay there for weeks at a time. I rented a I rented a house in a city in the north part of the island called Puerto Plata in Torre Alta, which is a very upscale sort of part of this particular city in the Dominican Republic. And I remember looking out from my porch with my beautiful lady at the time, And I was like, I'm sitting in my rocking chair. I'm looking at the ocean, from the side of a mountain. I got the tropical forest behind me. I got my coffee in my hand, and I'm like, this is the life. This is what I work for. And I was like, wow. But then I start thinking back about all those black men and their voices that weren't heard anymore, that weren't heard. And so I opened up my Facebook page and I began to literally cut and paste what they said onto my page. And so, and I would sometimes tag the men, and put their names, but what happened was people got so angry. A lot of people got so angry because of what these men were saying. Literally, I amplify their voice because I'm an attorney and I had a TV show at the time, often appear on Fox News. And so, they got angry with me for allowing for forcing them to listen to what these men had to say about their lives and how child support has affected them and how the women in their life have, you know, forced children upon them and how society, doesn't allow them to have a voice. And so that was back in 2016. And so from 2016 on to about 2020, I just used Facebook. And at some point between 2012 and 2016, I published a series of books called Rules to Live By: How to Maintain Peace of Mind and Happiness in a Conflicted World, which is on Amazon, and people can read it. And it basically chronicles my life, but more importantly, it mirrors the lives of so many other black men. The past 50 years, black men haven't had a voice. And so, what morphed into me allowing them to speak is now me speaking on their behalf, saying what I've heard them tell me over the past um, 13 years now. And I'm just speaking, I'm cleaning up, I'm speaking on their behalf. I'm saying what they would say if they themselves were as articulate and well spoken and knowledgeable as I am. And that's how I became an advocate for black men, because I couldn't sit on that island with all that happiness and sipping my cup of coffee, looking at the ocean, when I know that black men in America were voiceless, um, and didn't have an advocate. Now, here's the thing: we always see the Pookie and Ray Ray types on television. The dudes with the baseball caps to the back and the pants sagging. But 63% of black men have reached the middle class by the time they're middle age. They don't have a voice. We are overrepresented in the military. Those men don't have a voice. The truck drivers, the plumbers, the electricians, the hardworking black men that climb up the telephone poles, um, these guys, the contractors, these men don't have a voice. The hood dudes, they got a voice. They got rappers, they got, everybody will throw one of them on the television and let them say what they want to say. But, I'm an advocate for the hardworking, tax-paying, law-abiding black men who know they deserve a better life and who have not had a voice over the past 50 years and who get bunched into um, the same corner, the same section, the same basket as all these guys who have developed this bad reputation for that hurts all black men. So that's why I speak up on behalf of my brothers.